What's going on, Phillies fans? Welcome into the Fighting's final here on Edge of Philly Sports. I'm Big Al. Phillies dropped the series to the Red Sox big time. After starting a game coming back from London, thinking, okay, maybe jet lag, maybe layover won't be really a problem for them. Well, the last two games probably proved us otherwise. Big loss tonight, 9-3. A lot to cover, a lot to go over, a lot to digest from this one, a lot to dissect from this one. I, you know, it just wasn't a pretty night. Was not a pretty night. And there's no real great way to paint this one. But I'm also going to tell you guys, because I'm sure I've already seen some of the messages here, some of the comments coming in already. I'm gonna start off with, guys, relax. Just relax. No, it wasn't pretty, and I know it wasn't what we wanted to see. But I'm going to tell you guys, it was not the end of the world either. Let's back the truck up for a second. Like I said, Boston Red Sox beat the Phillies 9-3. Phillies are now 46-22 on the season. Boston is one game over 500 at 35-34. Not a good night for Aaron Nola, definitely. I mean, that was the biggest question mark tonight. Some questionable moments in this game that really could have changed the trajectory of the game. Maybe would have made a complete difference in the win-loss category, but definitely did change the complexion of this game. Let's hit some of these comments so I can kind of go through this with you guys. Chris is saying Nola sucked today. I mean, yeah, he sucked today. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. Steve's saying, fed to you. F Aaron Nola, that is all. Oh, come on, man. He's had a heck of a season so far. In one game, we're going F Aaron Nola. Get Trey and Marsh back here, healthy, and slug when Walker Nola on the mound. Let's slug when everybody's on the mound, because that's part of the conversation we're going to have tonight. Is there was hits, just timely hits, not strung together. That's going to be so. This kind of falls on the offense a little bit, but definitely falls on Aaron Nola tonight. Was the loss on Nola or Stubbs? That is a question I have, Marshawn, and we're going to talk about that. I'm glad you brought that up. That is kind of one of my my Broad Street breakdown. Broad Street bottom line. Like we're gonna talk about that, because I'm not putting that on Stubbs, but it is part of it not having, I've been sitting here clamoring for best catcher in baseball. I know Matty B has kind of broke my stones about it, but part of being the best catcher in baseball is the way he can kind of call a game. And without him, does it make a difference? Are these guys off? But I'm actually leaning less towards that. But I really am, and this is not excuse making. I really think it has a lot to do with what's going on from flying over to London, having a layoff. A lot of these guys have not pitched or played a lot in the last week or so. They're off the routine, and baseball players are routine guys. So that's why I'm not panicking now. We get another time around in the rotation, and they still look like this, and Nola has another clunker, and Christopher Sanchez looks bad. I'm going to worry. That's where I'll worry a little bit. But right now, I'm not freaking out. I just think I get it. I'm not saying F Aaron Nola, that's for sure. Ain't no relax. We're supposed to roll on every team we play. Listen, I agree with you, but it's also baseball. If we won 100 games this season, everybody would be excited about that, and it means you lost 62. So there's got to be a loss somewhere. Franny, hey, Fran, haven't heard from you in a while. What's going on, bud? Nola didn't have great stuff, and Empire was pretty bad. 100% trip is a factor. Yeah, the ump was bad, and we're going to talk about that, because that could have been the difference, I believe, in that fourth inning. Still probably would have lost. Maybe they would have had a little bit more fight in them. But that plays a factor, and I know I'm waiting for the Matty B to start coming in here to defend his umpire brethrens, whatever. But sometimes they make mistakes too, and they gotta be called out, just like he would call out if a player's not playing well, pitcher's not pitching well, hitter's not hitting. We would call them out. So it's a moment that played a factor in tonight's game. Sarcasm is hard to convey online. Absolutely, Marshawn. I knew what you meant. I know you're more level-headed than that comment would have made it sound like. Even when we lost, we didn't look bad. We didn't look like a bad team, which is encouraging. Yeah. Part of it also, I think some guys playing that stadium. It's kind of that stadium is definitely a home field advantage in my eyes, and having to come from England, playing in that difference, the overlay. I mean, there's a lot of factors here that this team can be thrown out of rhythm. Some guys are getting back into rhythm, which is good. So, like, I think that to me, Franny, is one of the more reassuring things, is that some guys are still. It's just a few guys are still kind of recalibrating. I guess is a good way of putting it. I guess what? I guess it is. The Eagles were 10-2 after the Niners lost, and we weren't worried then. Yeah, no, we're not there yet. That's for sure. It's a long season. Game like this are going to happen. It's how they respond after a game like this. Yeah, and they're going to have a tough response. We're going to go through that at one point during this fighting final, because you got to go against one of the best teams in the American League, and the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore. Still haven't been home yet. Also, this is the third straight road series loss. I mean, for all the clamoring we've been doing about this Phillies, road series have how they've been so far. They lost in Colorado, they lost in San Fran, and tonight, losing in Boston makes for they definitely love their home cooking, and that's what I think they need to do. They need to get home and recalibrate, lay in their own bed, see their wives and kids, have some sense of normality. I was a little worried about this with the England trip. I did enjoy, the fanfare of the England trip. I just I worried that something like this could happen. I thought maybe after game one, all right, maybe they'll be fine. But it definitely saw, because even Wheeler, had not 100. He wasn't his normal 100% crisp pitches that we would see from him normally. Last night, being up 4-0 was a big slap in the face after losing that game. And this game just got out of hand by that fourth inning, which has a lot to do with Nola just losing whatever command he had, the strike zone floating out of orbit, and untimely hitting from the Phillies all game. I mean, there's only, let's see, 2 frames where nobody got on base and 3 frames where nobody hit. Okay, so if you look at the stat line from that point of view, if I told you they're going to have 10 hits tonight, you'd be excited about that. But it's just not stringing them together is the big difference tonight. Name the game is getting into the playoffs. Be healthy when you get there. Starters have gone deep all year. There's going to be a bad stretch. It's baseball. Yeah, there's going to be a bad stretch. What you hope for is not a 10-game bad stretch. You hope for or 10-game losing streaks or anything like that, I should say. Maybe you'll have a 10 games where you go 5-5 or 4-6. You hope you minimize that, and it might take time. I'm not going to give him a pass for this weekend, but hopefully, you're pitching up against some of the best pitchers in baseball right now, going up against the Phils in Baltimore. You had one of the best pitchers and Hoek tonight. So that's, that plays a factor in it as well. And then Aaron Nola just not having his stuff tonight plays a giant factor as well. The London trip hurt them, then going on the road and the combination of injuries. Yeah, I don't understand this on the road thing right after the London trip. I mean, you would think part of it was day off at home, so that way they can came home, slept, and have like a series or 2 in a row at home before you head out anywhere. And we all, like I said, Boston is very much a home field advantage in my eyes, especially the Big Green Monster, which I'm a little tired of, to be honest. It's just whatever. I'm over it, but people love it for whatever reason. I guess mainly Boston people. But speaking of Baltimore, there are friends down at the at Philly Sports Trips is down there, and they're going to be down there on Saturday. But that of course is sold out, guys. I mean, that's a thing we've talked about a lot in the past. A lot of these games, so the Boston trip was where they were just in Boston. Now they're heading to Baltimore for the day. They're heading out to Chicago in early July. All sold out. If you wait too long, you're going to miss out. You don't want to miss out on these opportunities. The next opportunity for you for you to be able to get tickets to, go to Pittsburgh, July 19th to the 22nd. There's a good chance you might see Big Al there. Go out with Philly Sports Trips. It's amazing. Food, drinks, transportation, hotel, all that. They can cover whatever you need. If you had part of it, they got the other part of it. Whatever you need, PhillySportsTrips.com has you covered. They have all the Eagles away games. They have a Union game to Miami coming up. They even have a home game for Italian Heritage Night, which I'm trying to get myself into. So guys, got to go to PhillySportsTrips.com. And we said it last night, but yesterday was our boy Vinny Rizzuto over at Philly Sports Trips birthday. So big old happy birthday to Vince and thank you to the awesome job at all the whole crew at PhillySportsTrips.com. Top notch, top notch. I just got to say that. We'll hit one more of these comments and we'll go through some of the breakdown here. My 8-year-old was in awe of the monster. He's only seen the Xbox. Yeah, I've seen it. I've been there. I guess it's like kind of like I'm over it. I hate. I don't know. It's annoying to me. It's annoying when it hits off the wall. Where is it? Is it just make it normal. That's just how I feel about it, Fran. But I can understand the first time you're seeing it, you're like, oh, that's cool. It just looks like something like dangerous toy that was out years ago, but now would never pass the sniff test. Like it would be too dangerous for people to play with or hang around. Yet it's still out there, and they keep forcing it. As Marsha says, the Green Monster, and Boston, the Boston. I'm so glad. I mean, I love. I've actually gone to Boston a few times. I've caught a couple Phillies games out in Boston. Really enjoyed it. But at the same time, that accent can wear on you. Oh boy, and I'm from Delco, and that's got to tell you something. But let's talk about the pitching first. Let's just go through that. Phillies went through a handful of pitchers. Aaron Nola, like we said, not a good night. 3 2/3 inning, 11 hits allowed in that time, 8 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and that one big blast home run, 3-run home run jack led to Tyler O'Neill that really just put this game out of reach. But before that, the walk to Jaron Duran, that was the difference maker. That's where we're talking about. That's where we're talking about where it could have been different. There, David Hamilton in between that 3-run jack had a RBI single that shouldn't have happened because that walk should have been called a strike. I mean, that ball, and it's not even borderline. You can't fight me. It's not about the. It's not about the pitch tracker, pitch box, whatever you want to call it. And it was real close and could be called either way. No, it was a strike. I don't care who you are, where you are, what team you're on. Boston, no, they got away with one on that one, but no, definitely a big difference maker because that inning's over. That inning's over. So those 4 runs aren't had, because there's 4 runs after that, 2 more hits, and that was it. Like that was a big difference maker. So yeah, a big portion of this falls on the shoulders of the home plate ump, and it wasn't just that call. That was the most egregious call, the one that made the biggest difference in the game in my eyes. It was all over the place. Because that second frame and fourth frame for Boston was what really killed us. But that's the difference between being a 3-4 game than a 7-3 game. That's your big difference. A part of the offense didn't help, so they still would have lost if everything kind of stayed the same except for subtracting those 4 runs. But when you have to play from behind like that, you play a little differently. You're trying harder. You're always trying to knock the cover off the ball, keep this game, get another home run, get another run on the board, manufacture a run, however you can, and try to just keep chipping away at a feat that looks a little difficult. And that's what I'm saying. I put a lot of blame on the ump in this one. So Nola, not a great one. Let's just see if you can bounce back. That to me is going to be the big test here, guys. I really think it's getting back to normality, getting back into your program, getting back into your routine. And athletes alone are creatures of habit, but baseball players are probably the absolute biggest creatures of habit, of all professional sports in my eyes. And like I said, you haven't been home since last Thursday, I guess, or Wednesday. They left on Wednesday. So Wednesday they were home. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they were in England flying home, got into Boston, relaxed a little bit, and now they're playing in Boston. They're living at a hotel still. It's a different, like I said, a ballpark that definitely has some crazy dimensions that they don't play there very often, so it definitely makes them a little at a disadvantage there. And then being off kilt, maybe being tired, jet lagged, still recalibrating their brain, all that kind of stuff. It plays a part in this. Like I said, I'm not giving them off the hook. It's a loss. It's a loss they shouldn't have had, but it plays a factor. And that's why I'm not panicking. So I'm not hitting that panic button because number one, they're still doing really well, record wise. It's just, but number two, it's let's see what happens. If this happens like another week or so, then you can panic a little bit. But it's a loss that we didn't want. Star Wars 99 saying that was a bad loss. To me, they're all a loss is a bad loss. Some feel worse than others. What's worse though, like being was last night's loss worse, being up 4-0 and then losing it, or was this a bad loss where you got kind of hosed with some pitch calls and just let the ball get ahead of you? Because I mean, the Red Sox. If I just told you some of these stats, you didn't think they would have a great game. But they really did have a good game. But they struck out 12 times, and about all but two of them were in the 5th through 8th inning. So 10 strikeouts came from 5th inning to 8th inning. The other two, one was in the 1st and one was in the 4th, but they kind of had their way with us in the 2nd and 4th, and those were the big stanzas for the Boston Red Sox. So let's look at the rest of the pitching. Greg Soto came in 1 1/3 innings, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts. A little effective, not perfect, but effective. Did the job there. Kerkering came in for 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned with a walk and 2 strikeouts. That to me, I think was more on Nick Castellanos not playing the ball right there. He probably could have kept that from scoring, but again, I think that right field. That right field's it's different. It's massive, and I don't know if he knew how to judge it. So I think I kind of put that a little bit on Nick Castellanos, who's defensively and so far had a decent time. He's hitting a little bit more frequently, not enough in my eyes. We'll get to that in a little bit, but yeah. So Kerkering had a good outing as well. Hoffman 1 inning and 2 strikeouts. Donuts the rest away, and Jose Ruiz had 1 hit in his 1 inning and struck out 3. Like I said, 12 strikeouts for the Phillies tonight. So that's usually a good thing. If I told you that before the game, you're like, oh, that's a good sign. Schwarber did good. Yeah, Schwarber is definitely remembering it's June a little bit. We'll talk about that. So on the Boston side of things, Hoek had 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, 5 strikeouts. He's a 2.0 ERA, a 2.08. I'm sorry, ERA. And they still got 3 hits off of one of the better pitchers in baseball in American League. So, I mean, that's kind of where I take it. You would hope for more. But if you told me they got 3 and Aaron Nola was pitching tonight, I would have felt pretty good. I probably would have put a couple shillings down this game for the Phillies to win. But it is what it is. Schwarber, we'll talk about him in a moment. And then the only other pitcher was Brad Keller for Boston. 3 innings. He went after the 6 innings for Hoek. 2 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts, and that was it. Shut down the Phillies the rest of the way. And that was your pitching stats tonight for your fighting Phils and the Boston Red Sox in tonight's 9-3 loss. Guys, if you felt like you got robbed from the situation, well, you need to go to David R. Cherry for all your legal needs. Workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law, cherryinjurylaw.com is where you need to go to find out about what Dave Cherry does. And the best thing that he does is fight for your rights. Or you can call Dave and talk to the man himself at 610-565-0300. Again, workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law. These are all life-altering moments. You need the man with a plan to fight for your rights. David R. Cherry is that man from the Cherry firm. Go to cherryinjurylaw.com or simply call him at 610-565-0300. So let's get into the box scores for your batters here. Like we just said, Schwarber had another good game. He was 3 for 4 tonight. 3 RBIs with a big 3-run bases clearing double. That was borderline close to being a home run, but hey, still cleared the bases. Did the job that you wanted to do. I mean, we looked like he was just going to walk him home, and just concede the one run, but he took advantage of it. He had the one walk as well, and only one strikeout. His average is climbing up to 249. Playing well, getting on base, just like leadoff guy needs to be. Nick Castellanos tonight was 1 for 5 with 2 strikeouts, with his 215 average. Harper, not a great night for him as well. He had 1 for 4 hits tonight. That was it. He's down to 281 on his average. Bryson Stott in the 4-hole tonight. Tweeted out that when they announced the lineup. I was a little perplexed, but I guess who do you put in there? That's not him. Maybe Sosa if you were thinking about it, but I guess they wouldn't do that. So he was 0 for 4 with a strikeout. Mundo Sosa was 1 for 4. He scored a run. Dahl, David Dahl was 2 strikeouts tonight, 0 for 4 overall. Kind of coming down to earth. Some of these guys are starting to come down to earth. I mean, like that's why I'm saying, like everybody's like, we need to find a spot for Sosa, but if Sosa plays every day, maybe he gets exposed. That's why letting these guys play a little bit is best sometimes. Stubbs 1 for 4 tonight with 2 strikeouts. Rojas 1 for 3 and he scored a run. Weston Wilson had a pinch hit at the end of the game for Rojas, and he was 0 for 1 tonight. So it's in 36 at bats, 3 runs, 10 hits, 3 ribbies, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts for your fighting Phils. And like I said, they scored. They got on base in every stanza except for 1, except for 2, and they hit in every one except for 3. So it was too spread out. It was just too spread out, and they couldn't capitalize on runners on base, and that really is a big difference tonight. Schwarber had a 600th career walk today, and that if you want to look for any shining moment in tonight's game, but that's about it. Let's look over at Boston side of things. Jarren Duran, he was 2 for 4, 1 run, a walk, 2 RBIs, a walk, and a strikeout. Hamilton was 1 for 5 with a run, 1 RBI, 3 strikeouts. Tyler O'Neill, he was 2 for 5 with 1 run, 3 RBIs, 2 strikeouts, and he was the one with that big 3-run bomb that puts this game away, but put this game out of reach for the Phils. Devers was 2 for 4, scoring a run tonight, 1 walk. Yoshida was 1 for 5 with 2 strikeouts. Valdez was 2 for 4 with a run scored and an RBI. McGuire was 1 for 3 with a run scored, an RBI, and a strikeout. Dominic Smith, he was 1 for 2 with 2 runs, 1 RBI, a walk, and a strikeout. And Rafaela was 2 for 4 with a run and 2 strikeouts. So that's 36 at bats, 9 runs, 14 hits, 9 ribbies, 3 walks, and 12 strikeouts for the Boston Red Sox, which led them to the 9-3 victory tonight and the series win against your fighting Phils. Like I said, I was kind of nervous about this being a loss with everything that was going on, but there it is. Should have let Nola walk. All right, Camelto, let's relax on that one. BLSG, absolutely unacceptable loss to the Red Sox. What does that mean? BLSG, or we'll call you BL in this case. What does that mean? Why is this an unacceptable loss? Why is that? I want to know what makes this loss more unacceptable than other losses. Really, I want to know, because the statement's bold, and I don't know why it's unacceptable. I mean, any loss should be unacceptable, but losses are going to happen, especially in baseball. But why this one? Why to the Red Sox was unacceptable? Do you think the Red Sox are a bad team? Is that why? Because they were kind of around 500? Is that why it's unacceptable? I really want to know why it was to you an unacceptable loss. But real quick, guys, let's jump on the Broad Street bottom line here. All right, guys, Broad Street bottom line is just Aaron Nola didn't have his stuff tonight. Bottom line, did not have his stuff. got shellacked, and the big green monster had his way with him in Boston. This team, I definitely think a lot of it does fall on the fact that they are still recalibrating. They are not, this that England trip kind of threw them off. I kind of had this chalked up to a loss, the series before it even happened. I'm glad they didn't get swept, but I had them chalked up to a loss because I knew there was going to be some jet lag. They're resetting themselves. Playing in Boston, it's not easy. Like I said, that big green monster, that outfield is weird dimensions. So that's a huge disadvantage. That was not well thought out of. But coming out of, like I said, if they're coming home from England, they're going to England. They should have came home and had a series of 2 at home so they could allow them to recalibrate at home and then put them on the road. To me, that was a mistake by Major League Baseball. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it and complain and say, oh, that's why they lost. But I feel that's a big reason. Another big reason, is the strike zone was hard to come by. They let themselves get flustered by it, and their offense was not able to string a bunch of hits together at the right time, and it showed. And yeah, Bryson Stott and your 4-hole, I still don't understand that. I mean, at this point, I would have maybe seen Nick Castellanos in the 4-hole, maybe, I don't know. But my bottom line is don't panic. You need to get a sign that flashes up on the screen. Don't panic. Stop jumping off. Stay away from the nearest bridge and the nearest cliff and all that stuff. Stay away from it. Like, that's what I'm going to say. Like, guys, chill out. Losses are going to happen. They're going to happen. It's okay. Chill out. Like, that's perfectly okay. Not something we want to have. It's not something we want to hear. The Red Sox are not an unbeatable team. They didn't get beaten by the better team in this situation. This was a test, if you want to call it a test. But I don't know how much of a test it is when you're just not 100%, you're out of your groove. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, let's see. BLC said, he said, she said, whoever it is. I get that losses happen, but the Phillies were the better team going in this despite JT being injured. Aaron Nola is supposed to prove he can play 90% of the time and looked horrific. Well, he hasn't proved he hasn't been able to play 90% of the time because this is the first real bad game he had all season. So technically, he has played 90% of the time. Like I said, I'm not here to defend him or argue with you. It's just that it's unacceptable. The term unacceptable in my eyes is not an issue. Losses will happen, even against bad teams. They lost against Colorado. They lost against San Fran, who's kind of like Boston is right now, meandering around that 500 marker, up in just kind of dipping and diving. That's going to happen. But my point is, the term unacceptable means that either the way it happened or the team that it happened against is unacceptable. And to me, Boston's got a good team. They have one of the best pitchers in the American League, and we had to see him tonight. They come in off London series, not having your general, your maestro, and JT Realmuto does make a big difference. Yes, Aaron Nola should be able to overcome all those things. But Aaron Nola is also human too. Just like we would say the umps are. The umps are also human too, and he made mistakes. But he made a lot tonight too. He had a really bad game. He had a bad game. But so did Aaron Nola. But to say he's supposed to play 90% of the time and acting like he didn't, I think it's a little false. I think it's a little premature right now. This keeps happening in the next couple games. All right. Unacceptability can start to rear its ugly head. It also just unacceptable when you have Gregory Soto as your best pitcher coming out of the bullpen. I don't know if he was your best pitcher coming out of the bullpen. I think they wanted him to eat up an inning or two if they could. I think they were trying to stretch it out. Guys, they went through a lot of pitchers last night. Guys, they're trying to salvage these guys. They got to go to Baltimore. They don't get a day off here. There's no rest for the weary tomorrow. And they got, a really big matchup, which we'll get into against Baltimore. I'm going to look at your pitching matchups before we head out tonight. I want to thank you guys for joining me on a Friday evening or Thursday evening. I'm sorry. I know people are probably tired and it's 10:30 at night. So all you guys are chiming in. Thank you. All you guys watching live, hundreds of you guys. I see the numbers out there growing. Appreciate it. Everybody for chiming in. I love it. BL, keep bringing it coming. Bring your stance. I might not agree with you. You might not agree with me, but that's what makes the sports talk so much fun. That's what I love about it. It's going to be a hard series in Baltimore. It was going to be a hard series in Baltimore no matter what. With JT, without JT, with everybody on rest, with everybody in their normal groove, not coming off of London, it was going to be hard. So yeah, that two really good teams. If I'm Baltimore, if I'm a fan of Baltimore, I'm a little upset that the Phillies are not going to, be at their 100% and want to see how this team would really look because, you could be looking at a World Series matchup here. You never know. You never know. You think Nola had too much time off in between starts? I think that happens. We saw that with Alvarado in England. He was so amped, just like trying to throw his arm out of its socket. I just think they're out of their groove. And pitchers, man, 5 days. You've seen these guys who go 5 days and the 6th day they're off. They have an extra day off and it throws them off. So that plays a factor in this situation. So that's why I'm not panicking. That's why I'm not jumping off of the nearest bridge. I'm not calling for somebody's head and throwing in the towel on a 46-22 season so far. I mean, that's it. And that's your bottom line. And my bottom line is you guys have to get over to sherrystickets.com. That's right, sherrystickets.com, family owned and operated since 1946. They're going to be coming back home. Heck, if you're in Baltimore and you want to get tickets, they're sold out from what I understand. I think the whole weekend's sold out, but not at sherrystickets.com. Don't go to the other guys and pay exuberant fees and high prices. Go to sherrystickets.com. Already great prices. There's no hidden fees. You're not going to get bamboozled at checkout. For all your sports, concerts, theaters, anything that's coming on, anything that sells a ticket, go to sherrystickets.com. I don't care where you're at. That's not just for the Philadelphians. It's across the nation. sherrystickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. And you're going to have great prices and no hidden fees and save an additional 10% off by using that great promo code EOP10. That's right, EOP10. It will save you 10% off at sherrystickets.com. Let's see. Great show, Al. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Adam. Always a pleasure to talk to you. All I ask for Soto to do is just be a decent out of the bullpen, not strike out the side, but just be solid. Consistent basis for the most part, but he's the worst pitcher in the bullpen with a 5.12 ERA. I agree with you. That I will not disagree. BL, we're on the same page here. That's all I want. I don't want him to be a strikeout king. I just want him to be, I'll take groundouts. I prefer groundouts. It's easier if you do get a guy on base, you can roll him into double plays. This I'll agree with it totally. You hope Soto's better. He is the weakest link out of this whole bullpen. But you can't just throw Strahm out there again. You can't just throw these guys. You got to give guys rest. You got to think about the long run. That was kind of a conceded game, and you still saw Kerkering pitch, you still saw Hoffman pitch, and Jose Ruiz pitch. So you had to use pitchers. So you had to give guys some work. Soto needed the work, so he got the work. So if he screwed up, it wasn't the end of the world. This game was kind of out of reach for the most part. Not to say they were conceding at that point, but it couldn't get much worse. But this I agree with Soto. Yeah, that's all I want. Just be a good pitcher. Get guys out. It doesn't have to be mowing people down or high. Some wicked fast heat. Just like spinning, corkscrewing guys in the ground. Just do the job. That's all we ever ask for any player. Just do your job. So guys, let's take a peek around the base. Let's take a lap around the bases or a peek around the league and see what's going on in Major League Baseball tonight. All right, guys, let's see what's still in action right now. The White Sox are up 2-0 on Seattle in the mid. Excuse me. That hit me out of nowhere. Sorry, guys. In the middle of the fifth inning right now, White Sox are up 2-0 on the Seattle Mariners. Top of the fourth, Arizona Diamondbacks are up 4-0 against the Angels. That's in Arizona right now. Bottom of the second, the Rangers are up 2-0 on the Dodgers. And gone final tonight, the Braves beat Baltimore 6-3. Washington lost to Detroit 7-2. New York lost to the Yankees, I should say, lost to Kansas City 4-3. St. Louis beat Pittsburgh 4-3. Tampa Bay beat Chicago 3-2. As you know, Boston beat us 9-3. And the Mets beat the Marlins 3-2. And the last game that went final today, Minnesota beat the Oakland A's 6-2 in Minnesota. And that is around the bases, guys. So that's what we're looking at right now. So that means with tonight, the Braves did lose, handed a loss to Baltimore. So they are 45-23. So they are one game behind us in the record world. Um, and Atlanta is 35-30, only 5 games over 500 right now. So, that helped us out a little bit. It was nice to see the Braves loss, but maybe humbling Baltimore too, bring them in here. And so let's talk about that for a second. Let's talk about Baltimore. Let's talk about the series coming up. Tomorrow, you'll see Ranger Suarez coming out again. Didn't have the greatest game in London, so hopefully he has time to recalibrate. They're traveling again tonight to head to Baltimore. Game is a 7:05 start in Camden Yards. By the way, if you've ever been, Camden Yards is a great stadium, and it's very close, guys. I mean, if you're not hitting any traffic, you can get a Camden Yards in less than 2 hours. It really isn't a long ride. It's Suarez versus Bradish, which is going to be a good matchup. Suarez is a 1.81 ERA. Bradish is a 2.62. Saturday, we'll see Taijuan Walker going up against Rodriguez. Taijuan's 5.4 ERA going up against a 3.27. That's a 4:05 start. Plus, I believe I will be on the call. I think Mike Laura was slotted in for that this weekend, but I'm actually taking the call Saturday at 4:05 p.m. So I'll be on the post game for that as well. And then Sunday, Father's Day, it's going to be a hell of a matchup. You got Burns versus Wheeler, a 2.16 ERA for Wheeler. Burns a 2.08 ERA. It should be everything we were hoping tonight was going to be. And that was, probably a pitcher's duel. So this should be quite an interesting game for Father's Day. So all you fathers out there are going to kick your feet up, relax, have a beer, have a burger, have maybe the wife and kids kind of wait on you a little bit. It's a good game to have, kick your feet up on the recliner, or maybe you're outside a barbecue and you get the radio on. Good game to have, good matchup to have. So we have you guys covered for the night or for the weekend here at EOP. And let's see, here is your lineup. So tomorrow night, Matty B is back on the call. And then Saturday, so it was supposed to be Mike, but it will be me. And then Sunday, Sal for Father's Day. He's got the Father's Day lock. You got the Father's Day game, so it's gonna be a good one for him to call. Sal will be super excited about that one. Let's hit some more of these comments before we head out. Jeff is saying Baltimore series worries me. It should worry you. I mean, like I said, this series, Boston series, should have worried you, and that one should worry you even more. Like I said, this team is still recalibrating. They may not, they may not win it. It's just they're not going to be, still crisp yet. I guess a good way of putting it. They're still probably be recalibrating. At least they're a little closer to home. Maybe the family can come travel and meet down with them. They can see their wife and kids and maybe make them feel a little better. But they're still gonna be living out of a hotel, eating food on the road. Just not being in their normal routine. I'm telling you, it's gonna take until they get home for them to really start to recalibrate. Great show, man. I take losses like a bee. Laugh out loud. We'll get them tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you, Elephant Room, by the way, for the compliment. And yeah, then listen, no loss is easy to take. And I know I was kind of going back and forth with BL for a moment, but and again, this is what I love about this job. I love my job. I love talking sports, and I love that we don't always have to agree, so we don't have to argue. I'm not going to call you dope or a moron for it. I might, I've had some things on the show said to me in the comment sections that will make me raise my eyebrows or even question the validity of the question or the comment on the screen. But this is what I like about it. You guys are part of the show. You're my co-host. That's what I love about it. That's what I love about EOP. We got a lot more growth coming, a lot of new things coming up. Can't wait to announce them. Some events, some new faces. It's going to be a good time, guys. So I appreciate you. We keep trying to grow this thing. I appreciate all you guys who've been through the thick and thin with us. BL, I did think Hoffman and Ruiz did a really good job finishing the game, but honestly, didn't matter with the Red Sox being up by so much. Yeah, I mean, I think it was more about getting them work and evening them out and all that stuff, BL. At the same time, keeping the game in reach in case maybe a guy does get a run or two, a 2-run home run or something, and the game goes from 9-3 to 9-5, 9-6. Things get a little bit closer. But you also how to use the guy. So you have to kind of work the stable that way. Schwarber did great tonight too, but didn't have supporting cast behind him in the terms of bats. No, absolutely not. And like real quickly, I that was kind of part of my bottom line tonight is the untimeliness of the hits. There's a good amount of hits, not enough extra base hits, but I mean they had a single in the first inning. They had two singles in the second inning, a single in the third inning, two singles in the fourth inning with an RBI double. Um, a single in the sixth inning, two singles in the seventh inning, but there's a double play in between those two singles. There was strikeouts around those other singles, so like there wasn't enough double hits, there wasn't enough steals, there wasn't enough moving around the bases. Kind of was made the game a little stale. And I think going up against a really good pitcher, also having an umpire with a really bad strike zone tonight, plus being tired and out of whack, not having JT. I'm telling you, I think JT is one of the biggest factors here. And the only thing I worry about that is that lingering. Just like it's going to, like I said, they're recalibrating from being in London, recalibrating from having some extra time, like some of this time off. Recalibrating being in Boston, which, like I said, it's definitely a home field advantage. But recalibrating not having JT is a big difference, and that could take a little longer. So like, there's a lot of recalibrating. JT going down is like really made things even more of a sting tonight. And I think that's the thing is like I really hope that I don't think Stubbs can't hold the fort down and Marchand or however you want to say it, can't hold it down, but it's going to take Marchand a little time. We got to see Bryce Harper to come out the other night and do the talking that the catcher normally would do. So this is things that's going to make a change. Some guys are probably up there swinging a little heavier because some guys are coming back. Brandon Marsh could be back as of Saturday, they're saying. Brandon Marsh could be back as of Saturday. That means they actually, tonight, I believe they're giving him a few at-bats in the Iron Pigs game. And I think tomorrow night he's playing center field for about 7 or 8 innings, they said. And if he's fine, he can be back joining the team on Saturday. That means somebody else is going to go back down. And who's going to be? I mean, Weston Wilson, I would imagine, is going to be the number one guy. I think he still has options, so he can go back down. And I think Rojas is the only one with options right now because then you got to make decisions on who goes back down at that point. So we'll find out. But yeah, supporting cast did not come behind him on this one. He had 3 hits tonight with a walk, and that second hit was a big one. Was a 3 bases clearing RBI double. 3 RBI double. Nick Castellanos, he had the 1 hit, but the rest of it double play and 2 strikeouts. That doesn't help. So I say it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. Good evening, Daniel Barry. It's always good to talk to you. But other than that, guys, Phillies lose 9-3. We have the Baltimore series coming up. Let's see if they can kind of get themselves back into their groove. Let's see if Stubby and Rafael Marchand can get themselves together. And help call a game, and maybe the catchers and the pitchers need to sit down and get communication going. Like, that's a big thing there. So a lot of that plays a factor into it. So let's see. I expect little bumps of the road coming out of England, and against 2 decent teams. One really good team and 1 decent team in Boston. They have guys who can slug. They have guys who can hit. It's a home field advantage in Boston and Baltimore. They're gonna have home field advantage, and they have really good teams. So it's going to be a tough weekend, but it'll make, if they do win this series, it'll make this weekend that much more fun. And to all those fathers out there, I will probably say this on Saturday too, but if I don't see you, happy Father's Day. Enjoy your weekend. Relax. To all the mothers out there, make sure you take care of your fathers and your husbands and dads and all that stuff. And the kids, remember, you guys do it too. They take care of dad. They work hard. We work hard, and it's so enjoy your Father's Day. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. If you're going down the shore, you put us on the phone and listen. You don't have to watch me. You don't have to see my mug, my big bald head here, but you can listen along. We're working on some things where you guys can listen without jumping on, maybe an app or something. We'll have all that stuff coming out at one point, so we'll check it out. BL saying also have Ranger Suarez in fantasy, so I need to have a big performance since I'm down 8 at the very least going into tomorrow. But yeah, I gotta say one thing is fantasy baseball. I did it 1 year. 1 year. That was it, man. I just do not have. You have to have some dedication. My good friend Hollywood Holbrook, he over at Delco Live, he is a fantasy baseball nut, and I give you guys. You guys must have the free time or the discipline to have to be doing that. I tried. I enjoyed it, but at the same time, like it just way too much time on my head. I think they can do it absolutely, and it'll be a heck of a series win. Yes, it would be Elf in the Room. But other than that, guys, thank you for joining me tonight. Don't forget the great programming here at EOP. Here's the lineup. If you missed it tonight, Football Stories Live was on. The first part was trending in the AM with Phil this morning. Football Stories Live. Fly Like an Eagle podcast was earlier. Attacking Third was on just right. They ended probably right when I came on. And then tomorrow, trending AM again. Fighting's final again. And Steel Steps got some wrestling for you wrestling nuts out there. What a great show, guys. Really growing. Got to check it out. Palace and Fanatics have returned. They're on Saturday at 9 a.m. So there is a morning show every day of the week here at EOP. So that's pretty cool. Start your mornings off right here at EOP. And then the Fighting's final, which I'll be covering on Saturday. Then PM in the AM at 9 a.m. on Sunday. Another Fighting's final, and all across all the time. So guys, check it out. Thank you for joining me tonight. I will see you guys next time.